Good evening, family, and Shalom, Israel. We want to bring y'all a teaching today about John 10:27. Say, my sheep hear my voice, and I don't know them, and they follow me. You know what I mean? So we just want to bring this because this was laid on our heart a couple of weeks ago. And what voice are you hearing? You know, a lot of us are hearing voices and we thinking it's the Most High voice, but it's really the Most High voice. So Minister Dave broke down some scriptures and he went deep into it, man. So etymology of it. So really going to be a powerful teaching by Minister Dave. And I'll finish up at the end, but I'm going to turn it over to Minister Dave now and let him get into it. Minister Dave?
Shalom, Yashar'el. So today, like Brother Al discussed, we are talking about a teaching on John 10, verse 27. And we're going to start by breaking down the very first word, my, so we can understand who the Mashiach was referring to at this time. So the first word, my, breaks down to emos. And as we scroll down, we see my is my, mine's, etc. If we look to the Strong's definition, we see my, of me, mine, own. So the Mashiach was specifically talking about a group of people, a nation that belongs to him. Mm-hmm. We see this definition. So let's look at some scriptures. Ecclesiasticus 17, verse 17. And this will be in the Apocrypha, not in your standard Bible. You need to go to the Apocrypha. So Ecclesiasticus 17, verse 17. For in the division of the nation of the whole earth, he set a ruler over every people, but Israel is the Lord's portion. So this first scripture, speaking of mine, telling you that Israel is the nation that the Mashiach is referring to in this verse. So we also will go into the next scripture, which is John 10:29. For my Father who has given them to me is greater than all, and no one is able to snatch them out of my Father's hand. So we see that the Father gave Israel a Yashar'el to the Mashiach per this verse. So we see Israel as being the nation of people that is being referred to in John 10:27. We will also look at Matthew 10, verse 5 and 6. These 12 Yahusha sent out, instructing them, go nowhere among the Gentiles and enter no town of the Samaritans, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So we see this sheep that is being referred to in John 10 verse 27. My sheep is referring to Israel. But we're going to go a little deeper. So we see the nation is Israel. Let's break down the word sheep now. And the etymology of the word sheep, prabatin, G4263. We see here that it's the animal sheep that is the first word that is being directed to. Any four-footed tame animal accustomed to graze, small cattle opposite to large cattle, horse, etc. Most commonly a sheep or a goat. Mm-hmm. But it starts to get interesting when we see that it's being pulled. The root word for this is G4260. And if we look at the Strong's definition of G4260, something that walks forward, a quadruped, especially a sheep, literally or figuratively. Mm-hmm. So as we go into G4260, we see that speaking of Israel, we know sheep is also Israel. In Hebrew, one word can have multiple meanings. So this verse so far is telling us that Israel needs to be walking forward, or moving ahead. So we'll go deeper. The next word is being pulled is prabano, bano. And that speaks of to go forward, go on. So again, we're seeing that Israel is being, this lesson is saying Israel needs to be seeking, going forward, moving ahead, getting closer to the Mashiach. So that is also pulling from a root word as well, G4253. So as we go into the next root word, pra, it tells us that it's before, and the definition is i.e. in front of. If you walking, your feet is never in the same place. One is always one in front of the other when you're walking. So this verse right now is breaking down that Israel has to be seeking and moving towards the Most High. That's the first part of this particular lesson. But we'll go a little deeper. The next word that has been pulled from is G939, basis. A stepping or walking, that with which one steps the foot. So we see that this is referring to the foot and moving forward, walking from a literal standpoint, but figuratively it's breaking down that we has to be moving towards the Mashiach, according to this verse. Israel has to be moving towards the Mashiach. So we will continue here. Two verses I pulled out from here is 2 Timothy 2 and verse 15. Study to show yourself approved unto Elohim, a workman that needs not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. So we see that again, we have to study, we have to seek the Most High for him to be able to speak to us. The next verse I will read is Proverbs 25 verse 2. It is the glory of Elohim to conceal a thing which is hid, but the honor of kings is to search out a matter. Again, Israel, in order to get closer to the Most High, we have to put in the work. We have to study. We have to seek him. We have to search him out. And that is what John 10 verse 27 is referring to right now. For my sheep who hears my voice. We got to be seeking and searching. So let's go to the next part of that, hearing my voice part. When you break down the word hear my voice, when we look from an etymology standpoint, the word hear and what it means. The first part I want you to look at is this highlighted part here. To understand. To hear means to understand and perceive the sense of what is said. That is what the Bible in the scripture refers to when it's saying, those who have ears to hear, let them hear. Not that you physically has to hear it. You have to understand what you are hearing. You have to have that wisdom. And the only way we can have that wisdom, first we have to seek the Most High and allow him to give us that wisdom and understanding. It also tells us it's to comprehend and to understand in the second part of that definition as well. And that is the definition for hear according to our concordance. Then we go a little bit deeper here into following. We know it's Israel. We know you have to have understanding, but before you get understanding, you have to seek him and search him and get closer to him. Then he will give you this understanding. But the next word we want to look at is towards the end of that verse. It says we have to follow him as well. So to follow someone, the definition is to be in the same way with, to accompany, especially as a disciple. So not only we have to seek him, and then he provides us wisdom, but we have to follow him. We have to obey his scripture, his word, the things he tells us. And we have to walk in the same path, on the same path as him. So I want to ask everyone who's listening, and Brother Al as well, if you're in a group, Brother Al, and someone is speaking who hears the person speaking better? The person that is closer to the speaker or further away from the speaker?
Of course, the person that's closer to the speaker.
Exactly. And that is what this verse saying. In order for us to hear the Mashiach, we have to be close to him and seek him. That's when we can hear him better. If we're farther away, we're barely going to be hearing this word. And that's what this verse is saying. Seek him, you're going to get closer, and then he's going to give you the ability to understand. You'll be hearing his voice.
I can see
And
that.
then we have to obey and follow and implement the things we are learning. And that is what John 10, verse 27 is about from an etymology standpoint. And I will let Brother Al speak a little bit on his what he wants to speak on as well.
Well, we know that, excellent breakdown. I'm gonna be honest with you, Minister Day. Excellent breakdown. I just want to say that we have to we always listening to or hearing their voice. We always we hearing somebody's voice. You know what I mean? So what voice are you listening to? Are you listening to the voice of the Most High, or are you listening to the voice of Hashatan? You know what I mean? Even Paul said, when I want to do right, my flesh still do wrong. You know what I mean? So we have to get to that point of being disciplined, like you just said, Minister Day. We have to listen, and like I said, when we first start out this walk, we are in the end, just like we marching, we in the end. But as we continue to walk this walk and lean on the Most High for his understanding, we move up in rank. You know what I mean? We get closer to the front of that line. But a lot of us do not put the study time in. You know, it takes time. It's like a relationship. In order to get to your wife or your husband, in order to become married to a wife or a husband, you have to spend time. You got to take that one-on-one time in that relationship to know if that person gonna be your wife or your husband. You just can't say, "Hey, we meet one day, we're gonna get married." No, it takes time, and we got to do that with the word of the Most High Yah. We got to spend time, and He said He's our husband. In Scripture, He said He's our husband, and we His bride. But in order to get to that, we got to spend that particular time with Him. And a lot of us sit out here and spend our time and give our time to these celebrities. A lot of us give our time to even ministries. You know what I mean? Let me say that, because I was walking, Minister Dave. I want to run this by you. Yesterday, when I was sent a video, and I show it to you after we get off here. A Satanist was talking, and they said, "We have more of our people in your pulpit than of your own in your pulpit." And when they said that, I was appalled. I was like, "Wow, Satan got more people in the Christian pulpits than the Christians got in their own pulpits." You know what I mean? But that don't surprise me, because I do see a lot of wickedness. I do see a lot of false teachings out here. I won't call anybody a false prophet, because I don't know who's a false prophet. But what I can say is that we look at their fruit, you know what I mean, and how they're misleading people. And so that goes back to, who voice are you listening to? You know what I mean? Are you listening to the Most High, or are you listening to Hashatan? A lot of my young people are filled with a lot of these rap songs and rap music. And I'm not saying all rap is bad, but what I'm saying, there come a time when you got to pay attention to it. If it's going in your spirit and you ain't protecting your ear and eye gate, and you out here want to cause violence or harm to somebody because you listen to a song, you might want to take note of what you're listening to. You know what I mean? Because, even though the Most High and His Son, Yahushua Mashiach, they was meek. But at the same time, they wasn't peanut butter. They just not gonna fold under pressure, and we can see that in Scripture. So, but with that said, I'm not gonna hold you guys today. I just want to say, who are you listening to? A lot of us think we listening to the right voice, but we don't even know the right name. You know what I mean? We hell bent on this Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? Or Jesus Christos. That's what it really means. But when you look at it, Abraham in the Bible is still Abraham today. Sarah in the Bible is still Sarah today, in Hebrew. But Yahusha, why is his name Jesus today? So who voice are we really listening to? Minister Day, you want to add anything to that before we close out?
Absolutely. So, Yashar'el, the basis of this message today would be to spend time with the Most High, learn His ways, and that part of Israel who is spending the time getting closer to Him, following and obeying these scriptures, those are the ones that will hear His voice, because you are getting closer to the Most High.
Praise y'all.
And that's all I have, Brother Al.
Hey, with that said, we're going to leave y'all today. And we do want y'all to study. We do want y'all to really consider what we said in this teaching. We want y'all to share this message if this message convict you. And we just thank you for your time. And thank you for listening. And peace and shalom, everybody.